get him? All right, I did. All right, Jesus, you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. All right, excellent.
All right.
Let me bring you up here. Let me find you here on my screen. So, Jesus, introduce yourself just really quick. Where do you live? How long have you been in the business? And talk a little bit about just some of the production that you've had and what you've been doing.
So, I feel blessed being here at this moment, George. So, someone let you know in the group as well. So, I live in Oxnard, California. As a matter of fact, I grew up in Oxnard. I'm sorry, I was born in Oxnard, but I grew up in Mexico, in another country. When I was 3 years old, they took me to Mexico. I didn't know any better. So, my parents relocated to Mexico really at the age of 2 or 3. And then I came back again to the States in 96, more or less. I was 16 and then came back to the States, and I started, from working at a restaurant, washing dishes, to being a general mechanic on boats, being in the medical field. And you mentioned landscape. I used to work in landscape with a guy. And,
all right, awesome.
Accidental. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I used to put grass. I used to plant trees, and at times it just needed to be there for my family. So I started when I came to the States. I went to high school right around '96. So I started in the. I went to high school about a year and a half, perhaps, and then I went to adult education, and then from there I had to find a job, because I needed to support my family. There was only my dad and my oldest brother working, so I had to find a job and connect more or less to bring some of value. But at that time, I kind of went around and kind of had a those friends that at times we got in it and got into to trouble. So. I did not end up in jail a couple times, and I was drinking heavily and having the life.
Hold on, you're sweeping over like a lot of life. So hold on. First of all, you grew up in Oxnard, but you were born in Oxnard, right? Then went down to right. Then you went down to Mexico, came back up to Oxnard when you were 16. Here you are at 16, getting a job, working hard, providing for your family, right? You were actually providing and contributing to your family. I mean, because you were an asset to your family. My kids are a liability, because all I do is things I pay for them. It seems like, so that's and then hold on. So I didn't know this part. So you got yourself into some significant troubles from drinking to doing some stuff probably you shouldn't have been doing. You spent a day in jail?
No, more than that, because I was actually on a car accident when that happened. So I got an effect of that. I got a DUI, and then got me trouble, and then it was one of those up and down. I didn't know any better, to be honest with you. And you talked about
we're talking what, 20 something years ago?
Exactly right. Yeah, 24 years ago, more or less, 25 years ago.
Well, hey, I've only spent one night in jail, so I can only imagine. And people are always like, "What? How did you do?" Let me just tell you, if you take a firearm through TSA, they do not like that idea. Just for the record, to anybody, if you'd like to know that, don't do that. So that's a good way to spend a good day in jail, and that was not a good day.
Yeah, right. No, that's not. No, and I learned the hard way, to be honest with you, because at that time, my at that time, a year later, my baby's mom, my ex-wife at that point, gets pregnant. Then we have a baby. Of course, mentally, you always prepare mentally to all the things. But at the end, I was just still hanging around, was not really thinking about what was going to happen. So I think in 07.
So when did you? So let's fast forward a little. When did you get into real estate?
I got my license in 06, as a matter of fact, December of 06. I went to my first retreat with Mike Ferry, the last one he actually did in California, which was Palm Desert.
Okay. Oh, wow. That was a long time ago.
06. Yeah, 06.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And so
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. No, you go ahead.
As I was writing things, I always I always hear the name George because Mike Ferry's always said my name George for, all these years that I've gone to retreats, and Judy as well. But, who's this George? Who's this Judy? I run across Judy at times to the hall, but, I was intimidated for me to ask or kind of approach you guys. And here I am years later now working for the company that I never thought. I mean, really looking at the self-confidence formula, George, I'll tell you right now, reading it, like, oh my God, this thing has a lot to effect of you thinking, of course, through these years, I was just trying to be better, just not for, for others, but for my own, and just thinking how we're gonna at times really survive, right, to go through real estate. So yeah, for a full-time job, '07, I started a Century 21 company here in Oxnard, really doing everything, as from getting up to the early 8 o'clock. By 8:30 we had to practice our scripts. 9 o'clock we were calling, and then I didn't know any better because it was a full time. I was just calling. There was no tomorrow. I was just calling. I think I want to say for about a year. Just listed just so, without having any systems. I was just going at it, getting bounds, getting call names. I told my mom every time, "Hey mom, by the way, they call you like 10 times your name," and that was back then. And I was just kidding with her because at the end, they were calling me names and calling my mom names. But at the end, I didn't know any better. I just kept going.
You just kept calling. You weren't paying attention to that. By the way, I think the company, didn't you start with Intero?
I did not know. I was at Century 21 New Vision. The company doesn't exist anymore.
Well, no, it's Intero, but then didn't you eventually go to Intero?
That's funny, George. So after Century 21 closed its doors, back in 2012, the guy who actually started with, which is I still love him to death, Noe Villanueva, him and I opened up a brokerage basically.
Okay.
For a short time. I mean, 3 or 4 years.
You know my pain then is what you're telling me.
Yes, I do. I had a computer. I had a desk. I had a computer, had a desk, and my buddy, he had a computer, his desk, and we have a TC, and that's who we started a company. I don't know, from doing nothing to, I think we had 1 year together. I don't know, we were in the 60s, somewhere, or 40s. It could be one of the two. But yeah, I feel your pain.
Well, let's fast forward. But did you ever work at Intero or no?
I did. From there.
Okay, because the reason I'm bringing that up is that next week we're interviewing Danny Morell and myself are going to do a conference just like what you and I are doing right now. And we're going to put that out, of course, out to the whole company. So I'm excited to have Danny Morell come on board, and we're going to have a great conversation as we have with Colton Lindsay's and others. So it's going to be a great day. So let's talk about this. How are you dealing with the market right now mentally?
Good question, George. It's not been easy. All I can tell you is when everything happened, I knew I needed to get systems or support. I got more stronger with Judy, which is my coach. And it's funny how I go back,
So just so you know, so Judy now today, right, is part of Everest Sales System. It's our coaching company outside of the Everest brokerage, if you would say. So you're being coached every single week by her and participating in our weekly Zoom call with just an exclusive group of people, right? Just making sure so people know that. Okay, perfect. So you got closer with Judy, got more. Keep going.
More accountability. What I actually did, George, is I have a role play partner every single day, right? So on things I needed to get better. And I'm exposed to the ESS, just the new system here with getting the new scripts. But I needed to have someone also so I can practice on. So I write down my scripts for about 10, 15 minutes. I rehearse it, and then I practice it with someone within a day. So, but besides that, I have accountability plans. Maybe at one time I have multiple one day. But I need to get better. Besides getting closer to my coach, besides getting closer to you, reporting to you more than ever. Right now, I'm getting just practice. I gotta practice more or less, just to get the message out there that I don't want to get involved because within what's going on, I just gotta prepare my mind and be better. Think and grow rich. At the end, it's just it's been so spot on right now. The last
Well, it is
60,
spot on
90.
because I mean, Jesus, you know this. It was written right in the middle of the Great Depression. If we're not in a depression, I don't know what one calls, one would call a depression, because we've got a lot of people, of course, that are out of work, and a lot of challenging things that are happening, and there's going to be some even more challenging days ahead. And you look at when Think and Grow Rich was created in the 1930s, and when Napoleon Hill interviewed all of these titans of industry during the most difficult times of the U.S. economically, it could not be a more telling tale than that if you think you can grow rich, and that more people will become wealthy during these times if they will step forward than any other time probably in our history, especially with the innovation and creativity that's going on right now. It's incredible.
That's right. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So you're at what point, let's talk about your prospect. How much prospecting are you doing daily?
I'll be honest with you. I'm putting at least 2 hours, and I should be doing more. I connect myself with Judy, my coach, 2 weeks ago. I got sick through the end, and just stress, perhaps just compounded, a cold, allergies,
Sure.
whatever it is. The doctor got better and up at it. But I was telling Judy, it's the focus that I do now. I shut my door, and sometimes my 4-year-old will knock on the door and come in. Are you working? Are you working? Yes, I am, because he knows by 6:30 he has the time, right? And
Right.
how funny! I was telling Judy how fast they learn that you're working some one way or another, and that you're gonna have an opportunity to spend time with them once you're committed. I told Judy as well. I'm committed myself that if I'm gonna do something, and I'll reply back to you guys what I'm doing at times, activities. So getting back to what you asked me, how am I doing this better, is really getting more people around it, George. Getting to report more people, because if I cannot report to you, I mean, if I say I'm going to report to you and I don't,
Right. So
then
every morning I hear from you. You're reporting your exercise. You show me pictures of you writing out your affirmations, writing out your scripts. I mean, every day I get that from you. There's an interaction between our accountability and not only Judy, but others. And you just talked about another mastermind that you've joined, and stepping forward and making sure that there's all of this insulation around you. Right. What I talk about, but that insulation is the protectant to your dreams, to your goals, and all the things that you want to achieve. And if we lose sight of that, if we push back from accountability, what we're really doing is we're pushing back from the attainment of our dreams. It's really, if we could get that one thing, I mean, what you're talking about, Jesus, and what you're doing, putting all this infrastructure around you to protect your dreams, to protect your goals, to protect what you want to have happen, changes everything as you move forward. So I love what you're saying, Jesus. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. Well, one of the things that I also know is I couldn't do it by myself. I learned early by, why am I going to this crazy, you invited me to go to Utah, and it was the coldest thing I ever experienced.
Yes, there was a little bit of snow in January. I think you were a little ill prepared.
So I was not prepared. So I got to Utah, but it's just one thing though. Through times, I think we find the way of going through this event. You called me. I said, early this year, I watched this movie, The Yes Men, with Jim Carrey, and I said it was funny that I watched it. All of a sudden, I'm gonna say yes to everything. So funny enough, a week after, you text me, "Hey, what are you doing this next week?" I said, "I'm game on. What is it? We got to be in Utah." I said, "No problem. I'll be there," because I know it's gonna have to take time, George, for me to peel those really not so good habits, to add new habits, to be able to do more, and to be able to do more to my family, to be able to do more for clients, to be honest with you. Because if I'm not preparing my mind, my soul, I should not expect riches, to be honest with you. I'm just kind of striving. And I just said something I was writing down last night. At the end of the day, if I'm not dreaming bigger, and things just within me, right? Just to be better for others, to be able to strive more. I cannot be more if I'm not preparing myself to be more, right? I can't really do that. So yeah, I have to peel those like the onion, right? There's just the new habits. Why? Because I know there's a better person that could observe. And as you know, I mean, I serve God just right now. We can't do that, and things like that are really special for me to bring something that I know a lot of people can hear and be better out there, because
So,
there's a better you in you.
yeah. So, Jesus, let me ask you a question then. So, in relationship to all the disciplines, all the infrastructure, the insulation to your dreams. So what's important to you? What makes you tick? What brings your energy? What makes you want to win at life? What is it that's moving you, driving you? Yesterday I talked about reasons come first, right? So what are the reasons for you? What drives you?
Well, we always say, I'm always saying that is my family, George. But at the end of the day, I think it's, serving to the ones that need. I share with you, I was calling it, I feel blessed we can still prospect. Last Friday, I was afraid, to be honest with you. I was setting so much appointments. I was telling Judy that was like Monday started crazy. Week before I was sick. All of a sudden this week I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to focus myself. And it,
Hold on, let me sure I'm clear. So you picked up the phone and started setting appointments almost instantly.
just setting appointments like
And
daily.
I don't care whether it's California or Utah, there's this really weird feeling that people feel like they're doing something wrong, almost like there's a guilt to working hard, providing for their family, providing for their future, and helping people to do the same. And there are people who have to buy and sell. And just let me throw this in here, Jesus. There's two questions right now that should be asked of every internet lead, every for sale by owner, every expired, every just listed, just sold, your sphere of influence, you name it. Whoever you're talking to, a human being, how are you doing? How can I help you? How are you doing? How can I help you? And if you can get those two things down, there is no excuse for anyone listening to this. There is no excuse for anyone to not be making phone calls. Simply, how are you doing? How can I help you? And if that is the essence of your script and it comes from your heart, like you've talked about, getting your heart, your soul right, your mind and your heart, it will be an incredible experience. And look, that's the nature of the beauty and the joy of what we do to get to do in this business. So I love what you're doing. So okay, so you started setting appointments. How are people receiving you as you're prospecting? I mean, you're right in the heart of California.
Well, I wanted to share something from that prospect. I was scared doing this is how I was actually starting. Like you said, you guys have us do this last week. I'm here. How can I help? And besides what I'm providing with value about this home that I just listed or just sold, how can I help? And if there's anyone I can bring value to this community here that I just sold a property, let me know, because I want to bring value. And funny enough, by Friday, George, I was just telling this family. So Monday, there's a family that needed either some grocery or something delivered, which I did. Friday, I think of my dad, because there was this lady says, there is this lady that I rent a room to that has cancer, and she's up in her 80s. The husband is 83, and she's being taken care of by the daughter. They need some help. And I'm like, what the heck? This is the question I've been just offering, since Monday. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go deliver some stuff to this front door. And this older man came, and just he was so pleased and blessed that they got something right back for that. And right when I left, I just feel grateful. I said, you know what? I'm in the position that I can do more. Maybe things are not right for a lot of other people, but it just got to be there to serve, to be able to kind of be there for them. So what triggers me, what triggers me to do more is that, George. I think to be able to touch other lives of others, and by me asking nothing, I said, if you do need something else, here's my card. You let me know, you call me. But I think at the end of the day, if we think there's a storm passing through us, there's other people, like you said, if you are, if you think someone else is going to having a bad day, or I forgot the lines you used, but you're going to be there 100%. You're going to be right 100% of the time.
Right. Treat everybody you meet as if they're going through the most difficult moments of their lives. You're going to be right most of the time.
Most of the time. exactly. And that's what I actually, experienced. I said, my wife, you know what? There's this older family, and there's one across the way that on the next call I got, there was this lady up in her 65 and had a 80-year-old boy that the mom left the boy with her for months now, and they cannot find her. But whatever, and I said, you know what? I gotta be at service. So that's what tricks me really, to be able to give without asking anything in return. It's what really drives me, to be honest with you. It's just of being
Love
a
that.
compassionate more than ever.
So basically giving without any expectation, give to not give to go get. But what's so crazy is you elevate people's joy, yours increases. As you elevate people's wealth and abundance, yours increases. It's impossible. And so some of us are still stuck in our house, complaining, pointing fingers, still in this deep grieving process. So what advice would you give to someone who seems really stuck, who just simply, just like they can't pick up the phone? What would you tell them?
I'll be honest with you, George. I'll say connect to the system more and more. You've been throwing info that there's no tomorrow. How can we process this? I was like that at the same time, but you know what? I was finding an excuse to be at void. Now I know. Now that I have everything scheduled, nothing, everything that is on Zoom. If I can't really connect to you now, I know there's a message gonna be later today. There's no excuse for me to not to plug into the system, right? At the end of the day, we can always find 10, 15 minutes or something. We can always learn, just like, all the great speakers you have. I mean, Matthew Salter, he prepares 5 hours of a day. Like when I started, like, how is he prepared 5 hours? Well, what, right? He prepares the night before to go to sleep early, right? And then he prepares the morning. Then he prepares the day before going to prospecting. So there's all this preparation before. That's what he meant. And I have him as a role play partner. Just a great soul, great smile that always Matt Salter has. And I gotta bring him up because I know, the way we bounce back ideas, but it's what it takes, George. Being
So
open
basically,
heart.
make sure I'm clear. I just want, because you're giving some serious gold here. I mean, you're saying plug into the system. You're saying role play. You're saying insulate yourself around people who are in common thought and mind, wanting to drive their lives forward. You're saying come from a spirit, a tonality, an energy from your soul of service and a servant type of attitude, right? A servant type of mindset. You're talking about making sure that you're picking up the phone even when you're discouraged, and just with the simple question of simply, how can I help you, right? How can I help you? And look for ways to serve. And the thing that I've watched and I've observed is that, look, guys, 90% of the people are going to love everything that any of us do. There's always going to be 10% of the people that are the critics, 10% of the people who point a finger, 10% of the people who will say, well, I don't like what you're doing. 10% of the people think it should be done another way. 10% of the people think that they don't want that rah. They don't want to be accountable. They don't want to have people hold them fiercely. Look, accountability is the absolute insurance policy for your dreams and your goals. So if you're willing to put those at risk, then don't be accountable. You want your goals, you want your dreams, you want the insurance policy, get accountable. And I don't care whether it's through a coach, I don't care whether it's through your manager, I don't care whether it's through another agent like Matt Salter and others. It is absolutely critical to living your dreams and truly, living a life that when you get down and out, it pulls you up and you move forward. Hey, talk quickly, just with the minutes that we have. So speak about what you're listening to and maybe what you're reading. And I know you did mention Think and Grow Rich, but what has that done for you in reading that book? Why would you encourage someone to read that, and whatever else you're also reading or whatever else you're listening to that's had a real positive impact on your future right now?
Well, there's a reason why, if you want to call it to Great Depression, there was things going back then that we maybe didn't have those tools back then, right? I mean, back then that we can use now. So there's a lot more tools we can use nowadays to make our life easy. But what we somehow program ourselves is to make it harder. Why am I reading this back? Because I probably say when I bought it was 06, 07, and I picked it up at times. But now it means more because I think I'm seeking more. I'm seeking for more help. I'm seeking for more devotion. I'm asking, however, God, Lord, just you're asking for more, and just having that, being here right now, that I appreciate you guys more, without me knowing that you attract the positive, right? Makes there's the law of attraction. Well, the law that you attract, really, it's what you really attract. It's the moment you put a thought in your mind. If it's negative, the moment you start in your day, it's hard to get off if you wanted to, if you choose to. I've been actually, they said shift. I listened to that book. I used Audible. I started listening again. I forgot who shared with. Was it Brian? I
That's a
forgot
timely book. Shift is a great book right now to read. I mean, it's such a timely book. Absolutely, by Gary Keller. It's great. Look, guys, I don't care where truth comes from. We are on the quest for truth. That is what this organization is about. Don't care where it came from. Don't care if it came from the guy just sitting on the street corner. Find truth. And that is an exceptional book right now, especially, and again, very timely with everything that's going on. Okay. Yeah, so let's just in the last 3 or 4 minutes here. First of all, obviously you're a qualifier. You make several $100,000. You do a lot of business. You come from very, very humble beginnings, very difficult circumstances. You're living a life where you and your wife serve very faithfully and assertively in your church. You go to retreats. You do different things. You're giving back. And here you are. You're making all this money, giving all this service. And look, chat after chat. If you haven't looked at these that keep coming up, Jesus, is thank you for sharing. You're my hero. You're the best. Thank you for being a light. I mean, it's that's the stuff that we need to be right now. And I think that as you start seeing people feel that and see that in you. So from your standpoint, in regards to just pure activity right now, not excusing ourselves to talk about a technology, excuse ourselves about talking about the market, excusing ourselves of talking about the difficult moments, just in raw absolutes. What should every agent be doing every single day as a minimum standard in regards to their prospecting? Specifically, what would you encourage them to do? What's their minimum standard that they should be doing?
Well, I think double your contacts, George. I'm sorry. Double your contacts. One thing that I learned, it's everything has to be, in paper to know what you're doing. So
track what you're doing.
Yeah,
and
track
double
what you're doing.
it up.
Just got to double the numbers. The more, I find out.
Here's the challenge, though, Jesus, is that a lot of people, there's 3 ways to get business. You either wait for it, you either go out and buy it and secure leads in other ways, or you go out and actually just get it in raw fashion. So sometimes saying double might be going from 2 to 4 contacts or 6 to 12. So what do you think the minimum, from your perspective, what's the minimum amount of contacts an agent should be making today?
I be honest with you, no less than 20. No less than 20.
Okay.
If you're standard 20, then you just got to bump it up. But I noticed, I share with you, George, this week, if I knew I double and triple my appointments that I've done really for the last month or 2 months, to be honest with you. But I noticed a lot of people are gonna, find a way of canceling. So the more appointments you have, the better opportunity you have to meet in front of people, either Zoom or one or other way. So getting as much appointment, try to meet as much people you can, either virtually or perhaps if you can in person. But you can't do that if you're not talking to enough people. So talk more.
So the moral to all this, the moral to the story is talk to people.
That's it, man. There's no, I mean, it's funny. I don't know if you're getting, but I've been getting a lot of, buy ads, buy leads. There's no tomorrow. My phone is blowing up. At the end of the day, I still have to pick up the phone and call them. By the end of the day, there's no. My favorite
thing is you're getting ads by the internet, but what the way that the Zillows and everybody else tries to get you to buy leads, you know what they do, right? They call you. They call you and tell you that this is the best way to do business, which I find fascinating, is the fact that the aggregators are calling you to tell you that you need to sit and wait and wait for a lead. Because in the end of the day, all technology does, whether it's internet leads, whether it's, however we go about those, however we get a lead, even other resources of leads, whether it be the Dave Ramseys of the world, radio advertising, mass emailing, mass mailing. They're all forms from internet to just, again, going out and buying leads to do the one thing, which is what all of us can do, is to create an efficiency to talking to someone. So again, I'm just here to say that, look, both work. We already know that internet leads work. We know that mailing works. We know that sitting in an open house, waiting for people to come to us when we can do an open house works. All of these things work. But for complete control of your life right now, can you just simply call your sphere, make the contacts, talk to people? And I know we can. So great. Hey, Jesus, yes, give us your last thoughts. Let's wrap. We got to wrap up, but give us your last thoughts.
Most important, that if you think prospecting, calling the P per se, prospecting is hard, just either do the makeup, touch it up however you feel. I mean, I decided that, the prospecting in the morning, afternoon, or evenings, I'll just write it, to be honest with you. The first 10 is to pay the bills, right? The second 10 is just to enjoy and travel. And the third 10 will be either enjoying life or any other adventures or assets that you want to acquire. So you break it down to ease, instead of seeing the big 30, seeing as a short, 5 perhaps every single hour or whatever. So make it easier, I guess. We make it complicated. Then at the end of the day, George, there's no magic pill. We still have to be in front of people. I don't know if it ever
got to be in front of people, whether it's virtual or physically, by phone, or in the future, knocking doors again. That is always the answer, always will be. And however we get to those people, whether it be through technology or whether through us just picking up a random phone number, it's all about talking to people.
Also, one more thing is,
wrap us up. We're going to do some affirmations.
You have to find the guidance, and you have to trust the system. Don't go and work 5 systems. Work one system and get it, master at it. At the end of the day, there's no perfect example like what you're doing. What I experienced in Salt Lake, beginning of February, George, is just embrace this system. Try it and it works. There's a lot of successful agents doing this, and I'm not one of it yet. I'm doing as we can. I'm growing as we can. But at the end of the day, you know what? I feel blessed to be part of this culture, to be honest with you, George. So I love you guys.
Well, we're grateful.
A lot of things for me.
Well, we just know how much we love you, how grateful we are for you, and just the difference that you're making, and just bringing your light, your love, your passion, your energy to the table is just a sign of inspiration, and that it's possible for all of us. There's nothing this has never been more true. There's nothing we can't learn and nothing we can't do. So thank you for being with us this morning. Thank you for being such a champion of the cause of people and our humanity, and for improving our lives. So you're a shining example of that. And so thank you for doing that.
Thank you, George, for everything. Thank you so much. And God bless.
All right.
Bless.
Yep. God bless you, brother.